Hello everyone, welcome back to the ObaNutrition channel. Today in this episode, I'll be sharing about several ways you can be able to heal a headache naturally. This can be through means of diet or even certain practices that you can incorporate in your daily living and you'll be free from headaches henceforth. So what is typically a headache? A headache is a type of inflammation that occurs which will respond by you having some sort of pain on your head. However, it's not necessarily that there is inflammation, particularly in the head area, but it could be as a reflected action of something happening inside your body. This could be in your liver, that there's a type of inflammation happening, your gallbladder, even sometimes your kidneys, that there's inflammation happening over there, or you could be having a bacterial infection which is causing you to have that headache. So, which are the typical causes of a headache? The first thing that will always cause a headache is usually dehydration, especially if you've been in the sun for quite some time or at the gym. The other thing that can cause dehydration is hyponatremia. For those who don't know what is hyponatremia, this means low sodium levels, or in a layman's language, low salt levels in your body. The other aspect is high sugar consumption, high fat consumption, alcoholism itself will cause headaches, and lastly, long exposure to electromagnetic fields. If you have any other cause that you might be thinking that could be causing headaches, you can also highlight it in the comment areas. But those are the 6 causes of headaches majorly. So, how can you be able to cure a headache naturally? The first thing you're supposed to do is drink some water. So, this mostly happens when you are dehydrated, that you'll experience this headache. Probably you've been in the sun for quite some time, you've been at the gym, or even you are taking some medications that are even causing you to become dehydrated, or even they require the kidney to have more amounts of water in order to be able to filter your blood system and remove these medications from your system, the waste from it. That's what I mean essentially. So if you are dehydrated, you'll always have a headache. So what you can do is just drink some glasses of water and all will be fine. The other thing is take some salt, which is not normally very common or very popular. This is where you can lick some raw salt on your palms, or even a pinch of salt. You just lick it, which can be very helpful in terms of curing that headache. Also, you can do something as drinking salted water. So why is salt very necessary? Is because salt, when it's lost much in the body than there is that can sustain the functions of the body, you'll always have a headache. For example, you have been in the sun for quite some time, maybe an hour or 2 hours in the sun. You have experienced some sweat because this was one way the body was using to be able to regulate its own temperatures when it's hot. So what happens is that you have lost the salt through that sweat. So if there's not enough salt to sustain the functions of the body, like moving your muscles or even pumping your blood itself, if there's not enough, you'll always experience this headache. So what you just do is take some raw salt, you can lick it, or even salted water. The other thing you're supposed to immediately do is also lower your sugar consumption, or even totally remove sugar. This is very sensitive, especially if you live in a place which is very sunny, because if you're taking high amounts of sugar and you live in a sunny area, it means that your salt demand will be always be higher and your water demand will always be higher. So if your sugar consumption is way high and you're not taking enough water, you're also taking very little salt, you'll always experience this type of headaches. The other thing about sugar is that sugar can cause you to have liver inflammation. So when there's liver inflammation happening, you'll experience a headache, particularly on the right side of your head, because the liver is located on the right side of your body. This is why I was saying that sometimes a headache is not necessarily that you're having inflammation on the head area, but also some other place in the body. So it will be reflected on the right side of your head where you're having this type of headache. Also, when you're consuming high amounts of sugar, it can lead to even things like toothaches, which are also prone to give you some type of headaches. So the best thing is just totally remove sugar from your diet, especially for the liquid sugar. This means the beverages that contain sugar. Also, it means things like soda, fruit juices, energy drinks, flavored yogurts, all of these things that contain high copious amounts of sugar. The other thing you're supposed to do essentially is to stop alcohol consumption. So alcoholism is one big cause of people having headaches, and it's always an immediate action. If you take alcohol today, tomorrow in the morning you wake up with a severe migraine. And this is happening because your liver is inflamed. It is being burdened by lowering the sugars that have come from the alcohol itself, whether you are taking beer or something else, or even wine. The other thing is that the liver is being burdened by removing the toxins in alcohol. So one thing you are supposed to know is also the liver is involved in detoxification. The other aspect is that when this is happening and there's high intake of alcohol, that means there's a lot of toxins that the liver has to clear. There's a lot of sugar that the liver has to deal with, meaning it gets inflamed in the process. This causes you to have a severe migraine in the morning. The other thing you're supposed to also do is lower your fat consumption. This particularly happens for people who are following the ketogenic diet. Now, the ketogenic diet involves consumption of a low carb, moderate protein, and high fat consumption. So with this high intake of fats, most people who are on this diet are particularly not having very healthy livers. So when you don't have a healthy liver and you have switched to this type of diet, it means your liver will be burdened with a lot of work to produce the bile juice that is essential for digestion of fats. So if the liver is unable to meet the intake of fat that you are consuming in order to produce bile that can digest it, it will cause inflammation happening. When inflammation happens, you'll also experience a migraine. Another thing is the gallbladder also being affected. The gallbladder is not storing enough bile to contain the amount of the amount of fats that you are consuming through your diet. This also causes you to have inflammation happening. Also, when you're having this type of high fat consumption, it also involves you consuming these deep fried foods. You're consuming a lot of blue band also, which is included there. You're consuming a lot of solid fats, the mandazis, the chips, all these kind of very fatty foods. They will always overburden your gallbladder and your liver, and when they are overburdened, you'll always experience a type of migraine. Now, the other aspect is about you taking some fluids that can assist you with lowering that headache. One, you can take something like tea or coffee, and I would prefer you do it sugarless. Tea or coffee that is sugarless, that has been spiced with rosemary leaves or ginger. Now, the sugar is not supposed to be there because we don't want more inflammation happening in the liver, which will prevent us being able to cure this headache. Now, and for the rosemary leaves and ginger, they are very good in countering inflammation. They are very anti-inflammatory spices. So if you can do such a type of a concoction, it can be very beneficial in terms of curing that headache. And if you are unable to meet all these requirements, I would advise you to just basically get rosemary leaves, and you can add some tea or coffee without sugar. Ginger is something that helps you to add value to that anti-inflammatory effect of rosemary leaves, but rosemary leaves are very essential in countering headaches. Nevertheless, you can also add some other spices like lemongrass, which is also good in that. Last, not last, but also there's something else you can do, which is stop exposing your body to electromagnetic fields. These are the EMFs. So the EMFs are very bad in terms of they interfere with the electronic process of the nervous system. Now, what you must know is that your nervous system utilizes electrons in order to be able to relay a message from one part of the body to another. For example, when I prick my toe on a nail, I will experience a certain reaction where I withdraw my toe from that nail. This is because there has been also a mechanism that has been created by the body that is able to sense that, and this is because of the electron system that the body has. Now, if you're exposed to the electronic gadgets for quite some time, for example, you're using Bluetooth devices such as headphones that are Bluetooth enabled, you're also using earplugs that are Bluetooth enabled, long use of them interferes with the electronic system of the body. And henceforth, you start finding that you're having mood disorders. It can also exacerbate you having things like brain cancer, even as well you having depression, bipolar disorders. You're having a lot of things related to your nervous system, and even the headaches themselves occurring. These are issues. I also experienced it myself, where every time I used to work on projects back when I was doing transcription, I could not use Bluetooth enabled headphones or Bluetooth enabled earplugs, because they would cause you to have headaches afterwards. And sometimes there were headaches that could last for some days before you're able to treat them, or before them they're able to warn off. So the best thing you can do is just stop utilizing them. And the worst of all, don't do what is some people do, using their phones where it's still connected to the charging system. Every time you are taking a phone call and your phone is still connected to the charging system, it means that you are also absorbing those electrons through your phone. So just use your phone also when it's not connected to the charging system, as well as your headphones. This helps in reducing that inflammatory reaction that can happen to your brain, interfering the whole nervous system. The other aspect you can do is also practice earthing. This is especially essential for those who they cannot avoid using a lot of electronic devices. So as much as you'll reduce the exposure to Bluetooth emitting devices, you are also supposed to practice some earthing. This is where you can do, and this we normally did it back in the days. People used to walk barefoot. Walking barefoot enables you to put your skin in contact with earth. Thus, you're able to lose the excessive electrons that will cause inflammation in the body. So you can walk barefoot. You can also decide that from henceforth in your house, you'll not be using sandals anymore unless you are visiting the washroom or the bathroom. So you just walk barefoot all around your house. The other aspect you can do is sleeping on the floor. You can sleep on the floor in order to discharge these excessive electrons, or even on grass. This is one thing that you normally see children doing. They sometimes sleep on grass or do some football or footwork on grass while they are barefooted. So this helps in them discharging electrons. That's why you find children are less likely to experience this kind of problems, because they are always practicing earthing. The other thing you can do that I've seen that is now gaining momentum is doing mudding. So mudding is where you just I've seen it also with elephants. Elephants sometimes will just go to a river and just plaster mud all over their body. Or some people will go to the beach and plaster sand all over their body. The other places that are like commercial centers where mudding is done, someone pays a particular amount of fee, and there's a bathtub that has mud. Someone dips himself in that bathtub. It helps them getting de-electronized by these excessive electrons. Something else you can do is maybe hugging a tree, hugging a pet. These are all ways that you can use to connect back to the mother nature, which is earth. Last but not least is ensuring you are getting enough sleep. Sleep at least 7 hours daily. Less sleep causes more inflammation in the brain, which otherwise will cause you to have more headaches. So sleep regularly for 7 to 8 hours and you'll always be fine. So these are the several methods that you can use in order to heal from a headache. I hope you have learned one or two things, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.